Everyone caught a glimpse of the packaging and seemed to be thinking along the same lines. How good could those cigarettes and liquors be from that crude packaging? Aaron and Caitlin wanted to hide under the table when they heard that. No wonder Levi asked the old lady for her preference just now. If the cheap goods are exposed this time, it'd be over. Mom would definitely cut ties with us on the spot. Caitlin had to hold herself back from strangling Levi. Those must be poor cigarettes and liquor, someone said. Russell, Perry and the others, however, hesitated for a moment. It seems to be special cigarettes from the war zone. Especially that dragon symbol on the packaging. Quintus and Logan exchanged glances and laughed. Grandpa, Grandma, why don't we just throw these poor quality gifts into the bin? They are an eyesore. Shut up. Robert and Meredith suddenly roared in unison. They took the cigarettes and liquors in their hands, appraising them as if appreciating a work of art. The careful way they handled the gifts was all the more palpable than holding the 10 million. Legendary luminous pearls just now. Their knitted brows gradually relaxed as a heartfelt smile flashed onto their faces. They were much happier than receiving those gifts from before. Everyone looked at the two puzzledly, wondering what was so famous about these cigarettes and liquor. After a full minute, Robert and Meredith looked at each other and said excitedly, "It's real." Levi took a drag of smoke, smiling. "I wonder if you like what I have prepared for you." "Yes. We love it." Robert and Meredith nodded incessantly. Meredith even took over the microphone, beaming. "The gifts from my grandson-in-law, Levi Garrison, are my favorite." A deathly silence filled the room. Aaron and Caitlin, who were waiting for the verdict, were especially taken aback, and Zoe was filled with disbelief. Logan, Quintus and the others couldn't believe their ears as they asked curiously, "Grandpa, Grandma, are you guys mistaken? It's obvious from the packaging that it's of poor quality. How could it be your favorite? You guys are too shallow. You will most likely never see these cigarettes and liquor in your lifetime," said Meredith, waving the boxes of cigarettes and liquor in her hands with unrestrained excitement on her face. Robert chimed in, "These are special cigarettes and liquor from the war zone." "It's true that they are scarce, but it's not like they are very rare," Logan said. "If he wanted it, he could have gotten them through connections." Meredith glared at him. "Humph. Do you think that these are merely cigarettes and liquor from the war zone? These are special cigarettes of the Iron Brigade under the command of the God of War, the protector of Erudia. There are special signs on the packaging, such as the dragon logo and the words at the bottom. Anyone with a little background knows that the Iron Brigade's special cigarettes and liquor are not available to the public. You can't buy a glass of the Iron Brigade's special liquor even if you have tens of billions." "Exactly. You can't get the Iron Brigade's special liquor, no matter your background or your connections. We had it once at the home of a retired soldier of the Iron Brigade, and we couldn't forget its taste until today. This is the real Iron Brigade cigarette and liquor." A hush descended over the crowd at those words. Everyone regarded Levi with an incredulous gaze. How did he get those special cigarettes and liquors that couldn't be bought with 10 billion? What did he do? Robert and Meredith were hugging the special cigarettes and liquor as if they were their most precious treasure. "Dear, we will just take a little sip of liquor and smoke half a cigarette every day. These things are too rare, and they will be gone before we know it," Meredith said with distress. Levi smiled. "If you want it, I can still get it for you. I guarantee you can have them every day. I got a little today, because I was afraid you wouldn't like it." "Really?" the old couple asked in disbelief, their eyes rounded. "There's plenty of this stuff," Levi chuckled. "I promise I can get them. Once the banquet is over, I'll send another car over." There are plenty of these with the Dragon Legion. That's great. We are proud to have a grandson-in-law like you. The old couple had forgotten about everything else and only had eyes for Levi when they saw these cigarettes and liquor. All right, that's about it, Levi smiled. Many people are watching. Upon realizing the enormity of their faux pas, they laughed bashfully. Caitlin, Aaron, Zoe, said Meredith, pointing at the said family. Come sit with me. Caitlin and Aaron could not believe their ears. They went forward in a daze and sat at the table where Meredith and Robert were seated. Let me take the opportunity of the birthday banquet to announce something, Meredith said. The Black family has agreed to my daughter, Caitlin Black's return. Caitlin wept with joy at the announcement. She had been waiting for this day for almost 30 years. Aaron was also incredibly emotional. The Black family had finally accepted them. Zoe was happy as well. Caitlin, Aaron, you two got yourselves a good son-in-law there. Robert and Meredith couldn't help but compliment. Aaron and Caitlin were delighted. Levi, you have made us proud. We shouldn't have blamed you. Mom, Dad, glad that you are happy, Levi smiled. Aaron and Caitlin squared their shoulders, looking at the crowd arrogantly. Now that Mr. and Mrs. Black have voiced their approval, who dares to make fun of us now? Our son-in-law is just as capable, thank you very much. Everyone kept their lips sealed. Instead of mocking them, they were now looking at them with envy. Because Graham, Felix, Perry and the others were seated at the same table. That meant that in Meredith's eyes, Aaron's family was just as important as them. Just then, someone suddenly came in, reporting. Mr. Black. A few military officers outside who claimed to be stationed at the South War Zone want to congratulate Mrs. Black on her birthday. Puzzled, Robert asked, did they mention their identities? They did. One of them is the head of the Dragon Legion of the Iron Brigade, Captain Steele. And there were a few colonels as well, the subordinate replied. What? The captain of the Dragon Legion of the Iron Brigade? Robert, Meredith and the others jumped to their feet. Even Graham, who was once a deputy leader, and Felix, the deputy director of the city's Ministry of Economy, shot up. The fact that the Dragon Legion was stationed at the South War Zone was well known among the higher-ups. Quintus and Keene looked at each other. A thought occurred to them as they said, Damn, Russell. You even invited Captain Steele of the Iron Brigade? That's a big surprise. The rest of the Black family looked at Russell admiringly. Did you specially prepare this, Russell? I thought you said you couldn't invite anyone from the war zone. Yeah, Russell must have lied to us to give us a big surprise. Russell's parents gave him an approving look. Robert and Meredith were all the more surprised to hear that they were military officers from the Iron Brigade. Their eyes crinkled into a smile. Not bad, Russell. I didn't expect so many surprises today. You are Grandma's greatest pride and joy. Under such circumstances, Russell had to claim credit. Even if he didn't want to. If not, he was afraid that Meredith would be disappointed. Yes, that's right, said Russell, bracing himself. I have specially prepared this segment for you, Grandma. Just to give you and Grandpa a surprise. Perry, who was sitting beside Russell, was flabbergasted. Didn't Captain Steele come because of the god of war? What has it got to do with you, Russell? Russell, what's going on? Did you really invite him? Perry asked. Yeah, Captain Chapman. I gave it a try at the war zone and it worked. Russell kept a straight face. Robert and Meredith got up and greeted them at the doors, with the latter smiling. I knew it. Russell is a late bloomer. Robert and Meredith were brimming with joy. Seeing that, Caitlin and Aaron were surprisingly jealous. We were supposed to have gained the old woman's favor. but her attention has now shifted to Russell instead. They looked at Levi grudgingly. Getting the Iron Brigade's special cigarettes and liquors is nothing special. Inviting the military officers from the Iron Brigade is what counts. Following behind Robert and Meredith, Russell clenched his fists. He swore to work hard and turn all these into a reality. Just then, Captain Steele and the others had arrived at the doors. Upon seeing Meredith, Alfie came forward, wishing. Captain Alfie Steele of the Dragon Legion of the Iron Brigade and his 3 adjutants wish you a happy birthday, Mrs. Black. Mortimer, who was standing beside Alfie, stepped forward. The captain of the South War Zone, Mortimer Lambert, wishes you a. Seeing them offering their best wishes one after another, Meredith was very excited. Coming from the military themselves, they regarded Alfie and the others with more importance than those who were in politics like Graham. Especially since Alfie came from the invincible Iron Brigade. This was such a great honor. Robert and Meredith were most pleased to see Alfie and the others attend the birthday banquet. However, Russell, who stood at the back, was a little nervous. He was afraid of exposing himself. He didn't dare to greet them at all because he had never seen them before. Russell deliberately hid at the back, afraid of getting noticed. But Meredith pulled him to the front, asking with anticipation. I wonder what's Captain Steele's comment on my grandson Russell Black? Alfie froze. This old lady is so weird. I don't even know who's your grandson. How am I supposed to evaluate him? But at the thought that she was the grandmother of the God of War's wife, he said politely, Russell looks sharp and the country will be counting on him in the future. Ha ha ha, wonderful. Robert and Meredith couldn't help but laugh heartily at Alfie's high evaluation of their grandson. God bless the Black family. A blend of emotion fermented inside of everyone in the Black family. Russell's parents were so thrilled that they could almost cry, while Quintus, Heen, and some other of Russell's cousins were truly stoked. The place seethed with enthusiasm, and the atmosphere was at its climax. Because that was an appraisal from the captain of the Iron Brigade, whose words were very authoritative. Robert and Meredith were so proud that they had forgotten about the special cigarettes and liquor that Levi had gifted them. Aaron and Caitlin felt wretched. The spotlight was supposed to be on them. The old lady had liked them most. But before they could bask in the limelight, the attention was shifted onto Russell. I have heard about Russell Black for a long time, Mortimer added. He will have a promising future if he becomes vice captain of the Special Security Unit before 30 years old. Russell was feeling very emotional as well to receive Captain Steele and Captain Lambert's approval despite the blunder he had made. Captain Steele, Captain Lambert, Colonels, please, Robert and Meredith ushered them inside. But Alfie rejected the offer. We just came to greet you, Mrs. Black. We should make our move now. Does Captain Steele have any other urgent matters to attend to? Asked Meredith, with an air of great surprise. Yes, that's right. The God of War of my division is going to inspect the Dragon Legion that I'm leading. I need to go back and get the troops ready, Alfie said. Mortimer nodded. Yes, Mrs. Black. My legion is going to be inspected as well. We need to prepare ourselves. What? The God of War of the Iron Brigade? He must be a famous general who shines on the battlefield. Robert and Meredith were filled with deep veneration. But as if she thought of something, Meredith pleaded, I guess we have no time and are not qualified to attend such inspections. Could you allow my grandson, Russell, to visit and gain some insight, Captain Steele? Seemingly hesitating, Alfie agreed to her plea. Okay, sure. The inspection takes place in a few hours. Russell, wait for our notice. Meredith and the rest of the Black family were all thrilled. If Russell visits the Dragon Legion, it would be great for his career prospects. After the Black family had sent them off, the birthday banquet continued. Meredith was obviously indifferent to Aaron and his family. At most, she would only say a word or two to Levi. The conversation made during the birthday banquet now revolved around Russell. Levi was unfazed as he stared at the table of dishes and feasted on them. In the eyes of the others, his table manners was repulsive. It was as if he had been starving for over a week. Especially since Felix, Graham and other big shots were sitting at the same table, Levi's table manners was a big disgrace to Meredith. Meredith was displeased, but she couldn't say much seeing as Levi gifted her the special cigarettes and liquor. Indeed, Levi was uncouth. He should have watched his manners, especially since he now had Meredith's favor. Russell eventually got sick of it. Levi, come out for a moment. I need to have a word with you. Meredith looked at Russell approvingly. How astute. The problem has been resolved. Levi followed Russell outside. What do you want to talk about? Levi started while picking his teeth with a toothpick. How Russell wished he could punch him in the face at his sluggish appearance. But he said with a smile outwardly, I have a question, Levi. How did you get the special cigarettes and liquor of the Iron Brigade? I had it delivered, of course, Levi chuckled. Delivered? Could it be someone from the Iron Brigade? Russell asked quizzically. Levi nodded. Precisely. Didn't you see him just now? What? You mean Captain Steele? Russell looked at Levi incredulously. Yeah, him. Why else would he be here if not to deliver the cigarettes and liquor? Levi said. Ha ha ha, Russell laughed out loud. This man can really talk big. I will have another carload sent over, Levi said. Ha ha ha, nice, Russell responded sarcastically, looking at Levi as if he was a clown. I will soon find out whether Captain Steele is sending another carload of special cigarettes and liquor or not. I am going to the South War Zone, after all. You were saying that you invited Alfie over, huh? Levi suddenly asked. Russell became a little flustered at that question. But what was there to be afraid of if Alfie didn't even expose him? Yeah, I invited him to congratulate Grandma on her birthday. Russell admitted tenaciously. Levi's grin widened meaningfully, making Russell uneasy as if Levi had seen through his lies. Not daring to stay with him any longer, he turned around and went back to the main hall. The birthday banquet finally ended after a few hours. Meredith had specially called Aaron and his family to stay behind, which made Zoe very happy. Russell took his leave as well. Grandpa, Grandma, I just received a notice asking me to hurry over to the South War Zone. Go on now. You are the pride of the Black family. Everyone must learn from Russell, Meredith praised. You must tell us everything when you come back, Quintus said. Thereafter, Meredith checked the head count. Is everyone here? Caitlin, where's your son-in-law? I have no idea where he went, Mom, Caitlin replied. Whatever. Just let him be, Meredith dismissed him, for he was just an unimportant person. However, Caitlin and Aaron were furious. This is clearly a good chance. But that bastard went missing. How incompetent. At this time, Levi had called Abigail to send him to the South War Zone. As Russell was anxious, he made his way to the Dragon Legion's encampment at the South War Zone as quick as possible. Upon his arrival, he was like a country bumpkin who had just entered the city. Everything was new to him. He looked around and dared not touch anything, for fear of breaking things. Alfie had arranged for a soldier to welcome Russell, halting before a warehouse. There was a car parked at its entrance with a few men moving boxes and boxes of goods to a car. Noticing the packaging, Russell thought it looked similar to the special cigarettes and liquors that Levi had brought. "May I ask what are these, comrade?" Russell couldn't help but ask. "Oh, these are the Iron Brigade's special cigarettes and liquors. The captain has ordered us to load a car of them to send them over to the Black family," the soldier replied. Russell was thunderstruck. Are they seriously sending a carload of these to the Black family? Levi was right. What is his identity? If getting 2 bottles of liquor and 2 packets of cigarettes means nothing, then getting a carload of these is a whole different problem. Russell arrived at the training ground in trepidation. The Dragon Legion and several thousands of soldiers had all assembled and lined up in columns, looking ever powerful and ever triumphant.